in today's episode. Now, let's dive in. The value of your home, imagine it goes way up. Many of us, that's happened in the last few years, but our property taxes go down. That's not what most of us have seen, but that's what's happening in Quincy. Now, imagine you also have a brand new police station, fire station, EMT stations, a new water system, new sewer system, a brand new high school, a brand new hospital, and your taxes didn't go up at all. That is what has been happening in Quincy, Washington. For those not familiar, it's located mostly in central Washington, kind of south of Wenatchee in that part of the state. Pretty hot this time of the year. Now, Microsoft built a massive data center there in Quincy more than 2 decades ago. It was Microsoft's very first data center in the entire world. And they selected that area in part because of a lot of open space, cheaper land, of course, than locating in Western Washington. And also because Grant County PUD had put in fiber optic lines. They did that because the area is prone to some storms, and it was basically about putting in fiber so they could quickly locate when they had some kind of a glitch on their transmission system rather than having to send technicians out in the field. They could actually just locate it instantly and find out where the problem was. But that literally laid the groundwork for Microsoft to go, aha, Quincy, cheap land, lots of space. They've got fiber lines, which we need to operate our data centers. And that's what prompted them to locate in Quincy more than 2 decades ago. Well, the example of how taxpayers can benefit from data centers and not be victimized from them was the topic of a pretty fascinating webinar that I took part in on Tuesday. It was led by the National Taxpayers Union, and they talked in that webinar about Quincy, Washington's economic boom.
We have a lawmaker from Quincy, Washington State, talking about what the lawmaker calls a Quincy miracle. 7 data centers, no electric rates were increased. They use 5% of the city water. There is no noise. Data centers pay 57% of all taxes. And there's everything from new streets to sidewalks to schools that are being put up because of this increase in the tax base. That's certainly a way to do it right. There's concern among communities that it could be done wrong. Yeah, understood. And our biggest challenge, I think, is convincing folks that they have it within their power to properly manage the development to their advantage without just saying, no, we don't want to do it ever, go away.
I confess to being no expert into data centers. I've heard a lot of the arguments on both sides of the issue in the Washington state legislature during session the last few years. A lot of concerns raised now by environmentalists about water and drain on the power grid. But I've learned a lot in the last couple of days. And so, again, as I mentioned, I took part in that webinar put on by the National Taxpayers Union. And their take is that American taxpayers can really benefit from data centers. And they kind of took an opportunity to dispel some of those myths, they call them, about concerns with water and power drain, because the evidence, at least in Quincy and many of these other communities that have had data centers for a long while, it hasn't driven up utility bills. It has not been a drain on the water supply, but rather an economic force for good. And again, as I mentioned, they brought up Quincy. Now, the lawmaker they referenced there is Representative Alex Ibarra of Quincy. So I reached out to him this morning and got an interview. And I thought this was fascinating. He told me the poverty rate in Quincy, large Hispanic community, it's an egg community, plummeted from above 30% down to below 15%. So basically cut in half their poverty rate because of the economic force of data centers. And the data centers are now chipping in more than half of the tax base for the entire community, which has provided this great big old piggy bank for Quincy to go, what do we need? What do we want? We need a new fire station, a new police station. Let's hear more on that from Representative Alex Ibarra.
a new police station, and these are all brand new buildings. A new police station, a new city hall, a new public works building, a new EMS, two EMS systems or stations for ambulances. Um, let me see, a brand new hospital that was just opened 6 months ago, the best high school in the state of Washington, which was a bond for $108 million for a little town of Quincy. Um, every prior to data centers, about 60% of the roads were paved. Now 100% of the roads are paved. We had 20% coverage on sidewalks. Now it's 100% sidewalk coverage, or probably 90% sidewalk coverage in the whole town. We have a new sewer system, changed out all the pipes. We have new water systems. We have a reuse water system that Microsoft built for the city of Quincy on their nickel, and they gifted it to the city of Quincy. Um, let's not forget about the aqua park that's going to open on July 3rd of this year, which has slides, brand new swimming pool, brand new 5 or 6 different slides. It's got a little kids pool. It's got a lazy river in Quincy. We're talking this little podunk town, right? Next year, we're going to build an indoor football soccer field in town, indoor, because it gets really hot in summer and really cold in the winter. And it's going to have an indoor walking, running track. It's going to have tennis courts, pickleball courts, basketball courts, all happening.
Now, he told me that massive Microsoft data center, the first one they built anywhere in the world, is located 2 blocks from his home. He pointed out the window while we were talking on our Zoom interview this morning. He said, I can see it. He says, I've never heard it, ever heard anything, any noise coming from the facility. And that, again, has been one of the things that critics have brought up, that these big data centers are going to be, environmentally noise hazardous. Um, uh, Representative Ibarra said he does understand people bringing up very legitimate concerns about drain on utilities, on power, and on water. But he said that those concerns, at least in Quincy, have proven to be unwarranted.
We pulled the meter readings from the data centers. The city of Quincy gave me that information. The data centers use 5% of the water. The food producers, Lamb Weston and Quincy Foods, and I think Amway, those three companies use 57% of the water for the crops, right? Because they make French fries, they have to clean up the potatoes with water, apples, pears, cherries, which is Quincy's a farm community. So they use 57% of the water. Microsoft uses 5%. The small businesses and homes use 33% of the water. All of the data centers combined use 5% of all the water in Quincy. So they don't use all the water. They have closed loop systems now, not like the old days. So they're all closed loop systems. Um, again, yeah, so that's the deal. 5% of the water, not 50%, not 75, it's 5%. So they're not taking up our water.
Now, earlier this year, Washington lawmakers once again pursued legislation. This time, this year, it was about requiring data centers to cover costs associated with energy deployment and generation. But that could have quelled some of the public concerns being raised by people. And the bill did pass the House, but then it died in the Senate after Microsoft came out vehemently opposed. Representative Ibarra was also one of those who gave a passionate speech against this bill. And again, it ended up dying in the Senate. Um, this is one more figure I want to bring you from Quincy, because again, I've learned a lot just in the past day and a half about what it has done for that otherwise, before the data centers, pretty depressed community. Their tax rates dropped from roughly $3 per thousand of assessed value on a home to less than $1 per $1,000 of assessed value. And that's because the corporate taxes from data centers are paying 57% of all the taxes in Quincy. So it's everybody else in Quincy, the other 43%, that have to make up for the other tax revenue. So even though the value of your home goes way up, your tax rate has gone way down. And also, I should mention at that new high school, which I guess is the biggest and newest in the entire state. They've got a program to train up these data center technicians. So there's a pipeline directly from high school graduation into a path of employment. So the debate, no doubt, is going to continue, but more education all the way around on both sides and dispelling some of these myths and the potential benefits for taxpayers is warranted.